Hey everybody, welcome to Breezewood, Pennsylvania. I believe it's like what, 760, close to 800 miles from here to Sheboygan. So it's down to 4 hours and 32 minutes. Is that the available driving that I have? Possibly. Gotta love Easy Pass, right? We got to go, go, go. Hey, you guys want to see a really cool YouTube video? Type in on YouTube, get a pen and paper because this is not going to be easy for you guys. Dilion zipline. Okay, Dilion is spelled D-A-H-I-L-I-O-N. Hilayan. Dilion zipline, Philippines. And guess who's the owner of that zipline? My dad's best friend. One of the coolest things you can experience in the Philippines. Excuse me. When my dad landed in the Philippines, I don't know what year it was. It was a very, very long time ago. I would imagine something in the early 60s. By then, the Philippines was still recovering from the Japanese-American War. And the Philippines at that time were very, very primitive, especially in the provinces. Manila was a very thriving city. And did you know that the Manila or Philippines used to be called the Pearl of the Orient? Manila was a very beautiful city. Unfortunately, the Japanese just bombed the daylights out of it and destroyed many historical places. So anyway, when my dad landed in the Philippines, especially in the island of Mindanao, there wasn't a whole lot of modern things. Most of the vehicles running around were U.S. military surplus, like Willis Jeeps, weapons carriers, anything military. That was the backbone of the Philippine transportation, was the military surplus. My dad even had a weapons carrier. So when my dad landed in the Philippines, when I don't know how old he was, probably late 20s, early 30s. He befriended this gentleman that had the only machine shop probably in the whole entire Mindanao. And my dad, being a kind of a jack of all trades, he befriended this guy named Pablo. And later on, for many, many, many years, they became really, really good friends. And one of Pablo's son, Elpie, became my dad's best friend. Elpie was, well, he's a genius when it comes to electronics. My dad contributed quite a bit of stuff. My dad taught Elpie to make the first hamburger stand or hamburger restaurant in Mindanao. It was called Sesame Street. They were the first one to publicly serve hamburgers. That was my dad's idea. Another thing that my dad brought to the Philippines was a satellite dish. Elpie became the first Filipino citizen to privately own a satellite dish. I remember at the end of 1983 and 84, Benigno Aquino was just assassinated, and Cory Aquino, which is his wife, ran for president, and that's when the revolution, the people's power movement started. And I remember back then there was martial law declared by President Marcos, and so all the news media and everything was blacked out, and everything was owned by Marcos. Everything was controlled by him, just like it is today here in the United States. You could, it's almost hard to get the real news here in the U.S. now. Everything is so biased. During the revolution, well, before that, when we started, when we packed up all our stuff here in the U.S., and my dad missed home so much that he wanted to go back in the island and start over again. This was after separated by my mom. And along with us in a container that my dad packed was a satellite dish. I think it was a 12-foot satellite dish that he bought. And as if you know, you can take apart the satellite dish and you can stock them up like that, and it becomes almost like a pizza pie with a little curve. So you could pack it like that. It just, it's a pie and a little curve like that. So stack them up on top of the other, and that's how they pack it that way. And you just have to assemble it, and it becomes a dish. I remember when my dad brought that over there, and the container landed in the Philippines. I was in charge of telling the customs to what certain items were. Two particular items that was in The container was one, the satellite dish, and the other was a Tomcat ultralight experimental airplane. If you look at a Tomcat ultralight on YouTube, it's the one with the canard in the front. Of course, the canard is always in the front. So it had, well, just look it up and you'll see what it is. So anyway, when the custom asked me what the this satellite, this fiberglass thing, and of course the customs never seen what a satellite dish looked like, and he asked me what it was. I said, well, if you take this all apart and put it all together, it becomes like a little umbrella. I said, you put a stick to it, it's a garden umbrella to protect you from the sun. And custom says, really? Well, that's nice. When it came to the receiver, I said, yeah, it's a stereo. So, wow, that's a very nice stereo. I said, yep. And when it came to the ultralight, the plane, I told them it was an air-powered go-kart because it had an engine in the back and a propeller. And the wings, you could take the wings out. And my dad says, if they ask what the wings are, because the wings were made of Dacron. It says, if they ask what it is, just tell them it's a sail for a sailboat. Okay. So anyway, during the revolutions in the Philippines, the election between Marcos and Aquino, the whole news was just blacked out, and nobody could get the real news. But back in the island of Mindanao, my dad's best friend LP was taping the news on a VHS, or no, a Betamax, or those real big ones. And they were taping CNN, ABC, ABC, whatever else that was at that time, CBS, and they were taping the real news to what the Philippines was. And they would send this tape back to Manila, and that's where they got the news. So believe it or not, that little satellite dish played a little role into the Philippine history of ousting Marcos out of Philippines. Pretty nice, right? The problem with that satellite dish was the dish itself was too small, and LP, as the genius he is, he constructed a bigger dish. I think he went from 12 to 16. And this is way after the elections. And I think Marcos was exiled in Hawaii. So So they tried, LP made a bigger dish, which is a 16 foot in diameter. And boy, that was a big improvement. But it wasn't big enough. It wasn't perfect. So from a 16, LP built a 25-foot satellite dish. And wow, that made a big difference. Next thing you know, LP becomes the first satellite dish maker and dealer in the whole Philippines. In fact, in most of the Asia. Boy, did he become rich real fast. And I remember that was the height of Mike Tyson's career, where Mike Tyson would just knock out his opponents in what 30 seconds into 1 minute. And restaurants and malls and this private rich people would order all these satellite dish all over the Philippines. I remember in one particular mall, they installed this in the food court. And they had a fight, a boxing match with Mike Tyson. And they would charge people, I don't know, like 50 peso or 100 peso for the entrance. With that, you get like a hamburger and a soda or a beer. Man, he was installing that satellite dish just everywhere in the Philippines. And then as far as the ultralight airplane, LP flew that for a little bit. And unfortunately, that particular model of ultralight was very unstable. And I think LP stalled it, and he got hit with a gusty wind. And next thing you know, he crashes, breaks his collarbones, ribs, and he survived. So LP became one of the richest guy in Mindanao. And the nice thing about LP is he never forgot how my dad kind of helped him to do that. I think my dad never really saw the potential of the satellite dish. To my dad, it was just a gift for LP. But my dad always knew what a smart guy LP was. My dad never saw the endless potential to that satellite dish, but so anyway, when LP made the satellites, sold the satellites, and later on when cable TV was available, there goes LP. He's the first one to install cable TV in Mindanao. I call LP my uncle or my tito. And back in 2000, when my dad died here in Sheboygan, for many years my dad has always expressed his final wishes to be buried back home in the Philippines, back in the island. So when my dad died here, we shipped him home, and guess who spent for the funeral for my dad? LP did. Last expenses for my dad's funeral was taken care of by LP. And his entire family was there at my dad's funeral. Too bad the old man, Pablo, he died first. I better call the wife, so we'll catch you guys later. Thanks for keeping me company. John, be good here.